So we are taking up this example in which this guy Emmanuel, he would like to estimate the height of this tower, and what he does is that he measures the angle of elevation of the top of the tower from this point B at horizontal level and finds that it is 19.8 degrees. Okay. Now what happens is that there are some obstacles along this horizontal line. So what Emmanuel does is he walks as far as he can and pretend that's the farthest that he can walk to, and then he measures the angle of elevation of the tower, the top of the tower from this point, and what he finds is that this angle here, the angle AET, okay, is, I'm so sorry, one moment, okay, so this angle is how much? 30.28 degrees, okay, and say he measures the distance that he traveled here, okay, and finds that the distance is about 118 feet. All right, so it's like I'm not really giving you a real example, but it's it's an example resembling one with some assumptions. All right, so what we have now is that we have this word problem to solve, that we have to find the height h of the tower, where the angle of elevation of the top from this point B is 19.8 degrees, and tower is vertical and this is horizontal level, and then from 118 feet from B, from a point E, the angle of elevation of the tower is 30.28 degrees, and we have to find h. Okay, so let's see, if we want to use this angle 30.28 degrees, we have to find h, and all that we know is the distance between these 2 points. And of course we can relate this quantity that we have to determine with this adjacent side by the means of tangents, but we know the length of only this piece. So what we will do is, let's just do an auxiliary step, that is, just go ahead and assume that this distance here is, say it is x feet. All right, and then we will eliminate x and hopefully would be able to find the height of the tower. All right, so what is the first thing that we get? For this angle 30.28 degrees, h is the opposite side, x is adjacent, so h divided by x would be how much? Tangent of 30.28 degrees, that is. So now that we have h over x as tangent of 30.28 degrees, let's notice this, that the side adjacent to 19.8 degrees is 118 plus x, and the opposite side is h. So what will we get? That h over 118 plus x would be tangent of 19.8 degrees. Okay, so now we have this equation, h over 118 plus x equals tangent of 19.8 degrees. So now that we have our two equations and we would like to eliminate x to obtain h, so let's go to our calculation slate. So here are our two equations. So let's do this here. Let's multiply the equation by x, I meant this equation. So what we will get is that h will be x times tangent 30.8 degrees, and here when we multiply by 118 plus x, sorry, then this will become 118 plus x times, I'm sorry, okay, tangent of 19.8 degrees. So what we have here is we would like to eliminate x to obtain h, but here looks like we can eliminate h more easily. So let's do this here. Let's just go ahead and solve this equation for x, because we will eliminate x, so we will try to isolate x as much as we can. So if we do that, what we will have to do is that we will have to divide the equation by tangent of 30.28 degrees, and we could have done, and that becomes, sorry, one moment, you know, reciprocal of tangent is reciprocal of tangent is cotangent. So this is what we get for this, and we could have noted it like right beforehand if we wanted. That is, in this ratio is tangent. If we had taken ratio of x to h, that would have been cotangent, but my focus was on h, so that's why I just you know, stayed stuck with this, but that's okay, we can work it out. And likewise in this case, what we can do is that we can divide by tangent of 19 plus 8 degrees, and that will give us 118 plus x equals h cotangent of 19.8 degrees, right? Okay, so we have this. So what we got is that we have two equations. One is 118 plus x equals h cotangent 30.28 degrees, and the other equation right here, let me rewrite it. Okay, that's this one. Okay, now no, sorry, what was the other equation? Other equation is x equals h cotangent. Good. Okay, so now to eliminate x, what we can do is we can subtract this equation from the first equation here, and if you do that, what you will get is 118 plus x minus x. Okay, that's what we have on the left side. Okay, and let me just change it to math fonts. Okay, and that equals how much? Then this quantity minus this quantity right here. Okay, all right, so what we have is x's cancel, and 118 becomes h times this whole thing. Let me do one step at a time, and which will give us, I'm going to solve for h now, because you can see that now we have everything else available except for h. So if I factor an h out here from these two quantities, what would I get? I would get this value, right? Now to isolate h, I just have to divide by this quantity, and what that would give me is that 118 divided by the quantity here, okay, is h, okay, or in other words, h equals what? This quantity right here. So let's go to our calculator and obtain the value of this quantity. And I have made a mistake somewhere. What mistake did I make? Okay, the mistake that I made was that I was just copying, pasting, and then I mistyped all these. Okay, So I'm just wondering in my mind whether I should go ahead and re-record the whole thing, but it's getting a little late, or just try correcting this typo. So I'm correcting this typo, okay, and let me know if it's too much for you to handle. I'll make a new one. All right, so here, so let's see. So it says that the height would be about 110.8 feet, but let's use our calculator because not all of you have a computational package like this. So here we got h equals, since it asked us to round 2 digits after the decimal sign, second digit being 0. Well, let's leave it like that. So it's approximately equal to 110.8 feet, and now we are pulling up our calculator just to obtain the value by using our calculator. So first thing to do would be what? Make sure that the calculator is in the degree mode, which it is. And then what happens is, I don't have the cotangent key here, but no problem. We know that the cotangent is reciprocal of tangent. So I'll just write 118, okay, divided by 1 over tangent of 19.8, okay, and minus 1 over tangent of 30.28. So we should get the same value as here if there is any justice, and we did. All right, so let me know if this was not clear. Okay, I will gladly explain.